illegal alien criminals, cartels, and terrorists that are not just living at the border. Ladies and gentlemen, they're all inside the interior of the United States.
How about the KKK?
All inside the interior of the United States.
The terrorist group going after black and
You can head out. The protest is outside. Thank you very much. Protest is outside.
You bunch money bigots! You bunch money bigots!
You can head out. The protest is outside. The propaganda's in here. You got to keep those segregated, as you must keep all things. So that's Marjorie Greene. She's having her little town hall, and that woman, who I think raises a really good point, which we'll talk about, is not the only person who got removed. Now, she thankfully was just removed. Other people were the recipients of a little bit of state violence, so that's fun. But what you saw there was Marge trying to spread her little talking points that she is so desperate to cling to from before the election, that we are obviously awash in millions of migrant murderers. And so the Constitution, just set that aside. Don't worry about all that. We could do literally whatever we want to get rid of these people. And I know what you're thinking. All the studies show that the vast majority of the people we're deporting have no criminal record whatsoever, but ignore that. Wouldn't it be better if they were murderers? Would you shut up and just sit down and let us do whatever we want if they were murderers? So the woman brings up the KKK. Okay, well, that's a terrorist organization. It's literally a terrorist organization with a multi-century history of doing terrible things. She gonna say one single word about them? Should they be deported to El Salvador? They're hardly black or brown. Forget about them. And so you had a number of people who were interrupting it. And look, at these sorts of town halls, if you yell, if you interrupt, they're generally gonna make you leave. But it got more violent than just that. So she had barely reached the podium to speak when one man stood up and started yelling, booing, and jeering at her. And she didn't like that. I know you'd probably think she'd be used to it by now, but she was taken aback. So her supporters, which exist, stood and clapped. So police officers grabbed the man and dragged him out of the room. They also used a stun gun on him twice after failing to put his arms behind his back. And he wasn't the only person that got stunned. So Greene began to play a video of former President Barack Obama discussing the national debt. He contributed to it, so that's bad. The fact that Trump added $8 trillion to the national debt, I'm sure also probably had a video presentation from Greene. But anyway, another guy was removed. This is Johnny Keith Williams of Georgia. He had started to heckle her. They stunned him as well. 6 people in total were escorted out. 3 were arrested and 2 were hit with stun guns, which are referred to as non-lethal, but of course people have died thanks to those. So, not as raucous as some of the town halls, although it's hard to imagine that it's just a coincidence that it's Greene's town hall where we're all of a sudden having the weapons being used. There's been disruptions of Republican town halls for months now, and this is the first I've seen of stun guns, Brett, but what do you think?
Not as raucous as some of the town halls. What happened? Did someone explode a glitter bomb or something? Was there shrapnel? There's a stun, you just told stun gun stories. I always wondered, I guess I assumed that at every time that if we were to join Marjorie Taylor Greene in the middle of whatever she's doing, I mean, it was amazing that the first thing she said was illegal aliens. She's always talking like this. This is a thing where it's so weird. You have some people be like, can we please treat all individuals with some modicum of respect and at least listen to people when they're discussing their identities or anything. And it's you guys are psychopaths, right? But Marjorie Taylor Greene is spinning whole yarns about hordes and hordes of secret gangs that are trying to kidnap your child at night. And how are they not treated like psychos? It's because we've gone nose blind to the psychoness. It's such a weird position we're in. We're that is insane. What was said before the woman in the audience was that's crazy. She heard something, so she said something. And everyone just kind of goes along with it. Oh, it's this weird defense of Trump where it's oh, he's just lying. Oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene, oh, she's just kind of stupid and a weirdo. So she just kind of says the vaguely party line things that the Republicans have been kind of elbowing into normalcy for years and years and years, and we're just supposed to sit down and take it.
Yeah.
It's so strange, but it's like so sad at the same time.
Yeah, it's really gross to see someone with at least a little bit of power. I mean, she doesn't really have any independent power. She's just going to do whatever Donald Trump tells her to do, but that she's just a random gross bigot. That's all that she is. She happened to be in an area that's red enough that you can just be a gross, dumb bigot and still get elected. And so she stands up there, and does she even know the analyses of like those who've been sent to Venezuela? Like 77% had no criminal record whatsoever, including like shoplifting, littering, anything like that. And then once you include those, it's basically like the sorts of criminals she's talking about was like less than 1% of those who were deported. And I think that's not just a thing to point out because it makes her look stupid and wrong. That would be enough. I would do it if that was all it was. But it's more important than that. It's a refutation of the entire narrative. If there were actually all of these terrible criminals, rapists, murderers, all of that, then they'd be packing planes with them and they'd be advertising every one. Fox News would just be Jesse Waters showing like a brown face and then listing all the victims as he, I'm not gonna say what he's doing under the table at the same time, but he'd be very excited about it. Okay, but they're not doing that because they can't do that because they don't have those sorts of criminals. It's not true because it wasn't true when they were saying it. And that is good news for America. I understand if you're like in MAGA, you're like, no, it's my precious narrative, don't take it from me. No, it's good to find out that apparently your country actually isn't filled with terrible foreign-born murderers. That's a good thing. You should not shy away from good news. You should embrace it. Marjorie Greene, same to you. You should embrace that news. But she doesn't embrace inconvenient things, truths, constituents. She was like heckling those people, basically, like insulting them as they're asking questions. Why don't we play a little bit more from the town hall?
What are you doing to protect us in the 14th district from the damage and extreme hardship of Trump's tariffs? Gutting of Social Security and Medicaid. Wow. Doge gutting our government with a chainsaw approach and the utter destruction and ignoring of our Constitution and rule of law. He is not well physically or mentally, and he's making nonsensical orders based on his whim of the day. How are you going to rein him in to protect us? Oh, poor Christina. Poor Christina. Well, I'm sure, Christina, you think that you're pretty smart. But the reality is you are being completely brainwashed by whatever source of news you listen to. The facts are this. No one has lost their Social Security. No one has lost their benefits. Criminals have lost it. And if you want to defend those people where you hate our country and you hate America, what am I going to do? I am going to stand by my president.
No, you will. There's a little bit of hypocrisy there that you're standing by your president who is himself guilty of literally dozens of felonies. You're standing by him, an actual criminal. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, no crimes at all. So why is it that he doesn't have a criminal record, but you talk about him as if he's a terrorist? Donald Trump already adjudicated, civilly responsible for sexual assault, literally dozens of felonies, and more than likely would have suffered more guilty verdicts for felonies if the Supreme Court hadn't swooped in and saved him. And like you go through that laundry list, and I appreciate that she read the entire thing. You could read that as her being brave enough to read the entire thing before answering. For me, it's that I think that her grasp on literacy is so tenuous that she can't read something while simultaneously seeing the rest of the paragraph out of the corner of her eye. It's an important skill, like when you're presenting news or when you're doing a town hall. She doesn't have it, unfortunately. She got through the entire sentence. Some of the words started to trip her up a little bit. But what exactly was Christina wrong about? The trade war is not going to cause hardships. It's not going to cause prices to go up. It obviously is going to do that. Nobody's lost Social Security. We've literally profiled individuals that have. You don't get to cut the regional staff by 80%, shut down the online services, and assume that's probably gonna not have any negative effect whatsoever. And notice she mentioned that Christina was wrong, I guess, about Medicaid cuts, but then didn't actually talk about it anymore because in a day or two, she's going to be voting for massive cuts to Medicaid. That's her plan right now. She needs to pretend that Christina, she watches Rachel Maddow. She's clearly crazy or whatever. But Marjorie Greene knows exactly how right she is. And she knows that Donald Trump is flouting not only the law, but the Constitution. She knows that because she loves that. She doesn't want him to comply with it. Due process is not in her system of values, and she's fine with the fact that it's not in Donald Trump's either. And so, like, she's the congressperson, she's behind the podium, but Christina clearly, objectively deserves that position more than Marjorie Greene. Bro, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I like it when she's like, listen, you've been brainwashed by your news source, and that's our news source's job. My job is to brainwash you. Like, she is trying to justify Trump's approach to tariffs as some kind of strategy. It is not. It is giving button masher in Street Fighter 2. Like, that is Trump's entire strategy. I don't know if people are from the same generation I'm from, but we used to have these arcade games. One of them was called Street Fighter 2, and you get someone who was really great and memorized all the button sequences to do the moves. And then you'd go up against someone who was just mashing all the buttons. Usually that person would lose to the person who knew what they were doing, but occasionally the person mashing the buttons would land a jab or a 1,000-hand slap. And they would claim victory as being this wildly skilled person, but that is what Trump is doing.
Well,
and Marjorie Taylor Greene is trying to paint him as being this kind of international economic genius when all he's done is like bankrupted casinos.
I love your metaphor, but I think the accurate metaphor in this would be that he was button mashing, he lost, and then claimed victory. Because the stock market is still down. Prices are still going to be going up. We still have tariff. The tariff on China is 245% right now. That is not a win. He did not win. They are declaring victory because he cut the stock market by 20%, and then it went back up 11, and now they're cheering, they're celebrating. That's a loss to any rational person.
There is no rationality. The more I think about it, I feel bad for Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, she's earned better than that. I mean, has she ever, during an official proceeding, heckled someone from the audience besides the State of the Union? No. Maybe if there is some kind of justice in this world, next time she heckles a president, she gets tased and escorted out.
Maybe.
And it's weird because she should be nicknamed Taser-Face.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.